Beautiful. Oshawa Curling Club, host of this year's Canadian Junior Cup, where an international field of 8 men's and 12 women's teams vie for with a trip to Switzerland on the line. This morning in a draw 2 action, we see 2 teams out of Ontario playing, throwing the red stones and representing the Burlington Curling Club. Lead Nolan Gallardo, second Daniel Del Conte, the vice Noah Garner, and their skip is Jacob Dobson. Coach Steve Flanagan throwing the Yellowstones, and representing the Dixie Curling Club. Skip is Landon Rooney, and he's backed up by lead Chris Oka. Second, Joel Matthews, the vice Daniel Hochaver, and their coach is Dave Rooney. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matthew Hall, bringing you all the action from the first 2 days of play here from the Oshawa Curling Club. And today, we have a treat for you, as sitting beside me in the booth, the reigning senior Ontario women's champion, Mary Chilvers, and co-host of Two Girls in a Game. Thanks for coming in, Mary.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me here, Matt. I just live about 15 minutes away, so this is very convenient for me, and I get to see some good curling.
So you didn't have to wake up as early as I did this morning.
No, I didn't.
To get here for the morning
I
game.
did not, no.
First draw of men's action here, and it's going to be our first look at the men's field. As I said, there's 8 U21 teams and a number of U18 teams competing this week, and I think we have a very good matchup here to start. Lots of experience on these 2 teams. Just off the top of my head, Landon Rooney, of course, the reigning Canadian junior champion, U21 champion from last year. Jacob Dobson's team are no slouches either in comparison. Their second has played at the Canada Games, been to a U21 Canadians. Two other curlers on the team with U18 nationals experience. I think we're in for a very good game here.
Yes, and by virtue of the draw to the button, they determined last draw went to Team Dobson. Looks like a very open end here to start things out, but I think that's kind of expected, Matt.
Yeah, no surprise, really. We did see a very similar strategy in the women's game this morning. I know you were watching from home, and They didn't really seem to want to push the envelope. Of course, no surprise at the start of a competition like this. You want to take time to get really comfortable with the ice before you decide to push the envelope and go for it. With these 2 teams, hopefully that additional experience means we don't see too much of that, maybe an end or 2 before they decide to junk it up and see how they can do, though. This rock slipping a little bit deep behind the tee line. Of course, good enough. Landon will decide to hit it, but we did see a lot of rocks slipping a bit heavy on the women's side this morning. Mm-hmm. So it is very fast out there. I think teams are maybe getting caught on that just a little bit. Of course, it's so important early in these games, though. Looks like he's going to make the hit here, remove it from play and roll out. You don't think a lot about it, and I think it's really easy, even as a player, with these open draws here, to kind of not go to sleep a little bit, but maybe lose concentration. And at home, you probably don't think much about it, but these shots are incredibly important, especially early in a game. They only get 2 practice draws before their draw for hammer, so they don't get to try out the sheet. These are really useful for teams to get a handle on what the ice is doing in other spots on the sheet. And for players who maybe didn't get to throw a practice draw before the game, you get that draw weight underneath you early that you might be able to use later in the game.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gift if you can have a no pressure draw at the beginning of the game. Like you said, the skip is the only one that got to throw a draw before the game, so if you can nail down draw weight early, you're going to do okay in the game. As far as I'm concerned, it's the biggest part, really, is just to have that good draw weight and be comfortable knowing it.
Of course, you have experience playing at a national championship this year, going to the seniors, and it's a lot different when you get up to the national, even the provincial level, I guess, when you get to playdowns, when you have that full practice that everybody can throw some shots that you generally see them play maybe be a bit more aggressive in the early ends, but something like this where especially it is the holidays. These guys have probably not been on the ice maybe as much the last couple of weeks. They want the chance to just sort of settle in, shake the rust off a little bit, and get some easy shots.
Yeah. And at the provincial and national level, the draw to the button isn't just a good hammer. It's extremely important to make the draw to button good because they keep a tally on it, and it could determine where you end up in the standings. So I know for our team, at the seniors, we really focused on everybody throwing down the paths. Two people at the national level throw the draw to the button, not just one.
Mm-hmm.
So you're breaking down both paths. What I did find not great about that type of practice is that we didn't really see what hits were doing, especially in the 4-foot area, because that's usually where the hits are going to be in the first end for the lead. So we threw a few more of those in later on in the practices, but yeah, those 7 or 8 minute practices are very, very important.
And we get our first look here at Landon Rooney, the reigning Canadian junior champion. Attempting just to hit this stone stick around in the rings. Of course, that championship was held in Stratford last year, so always nice winning, obviously, but being the home team and sort of doing it too, I'm sure that was an incredible experience for him.
So I think that team from last year have all aged out now?
I believe so, yes. I know the other 3 are playing men's.
Yeah, I believe they're in the Tankard, the Ontario Tankard this year, so yeah.
So, be a very good field and a very strong young group of players, and the other 3 aged out, and Landon's continued on with this new squad here this year. Get our first look at Jacob Dobson here in the first end. This team actually has seen some success on the junior tour this year. Speaking to them before the game, they have won one of the junior slams. I believe they said they maybe made the finals or the semi in another one, so it is their first year together, which happens a lot on the junior side, but the fact that they've seen that kind of success early, I think really speaks or really creates a good outlook looking forward towards their play-down season that's going to be coming up in the new year.
Yeah, so far very impressive play by both teams, just very open end. I'm sure in the second end we're going to see some rocks in play. So Landon just going for the hit and stick here. We'll hope to get a mistake out of Dobson on his last.
This is a good spot to leave it. I think what I saw mostly in the first draw this morning was that this side of the sheet tended to be a little bit straighter. And we saw teams when they tried to throw a little bit of extra weight, sometimes they got caught. If they were a little bit wide, it wasn't going to come back for you. So I think this is a good test for Dobson here, for Landon Rooney to leave this rock in this spot. Shouldn't see, if he's throwing peel weight, shouldn't see too much movement. If he throws it clean, it might come up half inch or so.
Of course, the most important thing is to actually make it go away. Sometimes they'll up their weight, a straight spot, and flash everything. So definitely wants to get rid of this. Looks like he's got the blank here.
And he will. He hits a half stone, removes the yellow rock, rolls out, secures the blank. Jacob Dobson will keep the hammer heading into the second end. We have a 0-0 game here. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back when play resumes.
Anyone can be scared to try something new.
But moving outside of your comfort zone
can open new possibilities.
And having the courage to change something
doesn't change who you are.
So why try something new?
To innovate, to create a legacy,
to make an impact.
You have to earn it.
And you better be ready. to enjoy it.
Because you never know who else you might make an impact on.
What impact will you make?
Goldline, the choice of champions.
And we're back here in the second end. Fairly straightforward open end. No real surprises there, Mary, but
No.
it'll be interesting to see how long they decide to wait. As we see here, looks like Landon is calling the center guard here in the second end.
Yes.
This rock may be going to overcurl a little bit, but if they get something up here, it'll be nice to see some rocks in play and hopefully get some good shots out of these guys.
Yeah, it looks like the guard was called, but because it was over curling, they decided they're going to bring that rock into the rings because they certainly don't want to leave a corner guard for the other team. So that's a little unfortunate, but Dobson's going to go ahead and hit this.
Wasting no time, calling the hit immediately. A bit of I guess I shouldn't say surprise. These guys probably, maybe that's their game plan to keep things a little bit clean, but that sort of, when he's trying to throw that guard there and it slips in off of the center line in the 12-foot, that's a rock that you maybe could afford to ignore, toss up a corner, but decides to hit it. Actually, probably the best result you'd want if you're Jacob, just hanging on over at the edge. This might be a very difficult spot where Landon Rooney's going to be guessing how exactly to get to the nose of this stone. And even if he does hit, he's going to be out in the wings or maybe even behind T-line. If he rolls, then you throw up the corner guard after.
Yeah, this just shows that you can start the end out with a certain strategy, but if the shots are not made according to that strategy, it just changes everything. This is probably not what Rooney wanted to do, but he has to hit that rock. Dobson has hammer.
Absolutely.
Now, interesting what Dobson will do here, which looks like he wants to hit it, which I would say is an extremely defensive call.
Yeah, and that could be their strategy. They just want to keep things clean, and that's fine if they've decided to do that. Could absolutely just toss up a corner guard.
Yeah.
You essentially have a free chance at it, but if they're content to get a couple more blanks in, one of the issues with this, of course, is you throw so many hits, and then when you're actually forced to, make something precise later, you're not exactly sure what it's going to be doing.
Now this looks like a miss.
And that one maybe just not quite getting out far enough on the stick. Looked like he was calling it wide out of his hand. So that's a big missed opportunity there. And that's sort of one of the issues when you play that hit game, especially early when you're out so far wide, you don't know what it's going to be doing out there. He could have just gotten caught on a straight spot of the sheet. And now Landon's going to try and make him pay for it, try and split the rings. Still plenty of rocks to come.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
If Landon ever misses a draw or they leave a double or something, still a chance to get out of it. But looking like it's a good advantage here for Rooney if this rock can hold on.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate miss. You really want to make those shots after your opponent had just missed their shot.
Yeah.
So
And I remember coming up through the junior ranks, that was one of the things that on most of my teams we paid really close attention to. It's not necessarily just trying to make all of your shots, but it's where the most important makes. And usually it's right after the other team misses, you have the chance to capitalize on them.
Yeah.
And that's a missed opportunity there. Now we're seeing Dobson again.
Just gets that one.
And he mentions that Daniel threw it well, so probably just a little bit unsure about where the broom needs to come down in that spot with that weight.
Well, I find on playing hits inside out is always it's always a bit of a guess. They haven't had a chance to see what a hit does, as we talked earlier about no practice time on the ice. So I don't know. I think most skips might have played that outside in and just maybe put the broom on the rock and up the weight.
Throw peel.
Yeah.
And that was, I remember specifically one time when I was playing at the junior provincials, we gave up a 4 in the first end on basically that kind of thing. Like we tried to play, it was an open hit. We tried to be too precise with it, through control, and you overcurl when you don't know what the ice is doing. And really that's always stuck with me. Like when you're throwing something in the first end, first two ends, it's a spot you haven't seen before. just put the broom on the nose and throw peel.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it looks like we're basically leading towards another open end here. Mary, I've already started getting messages from your co-host of the Two Girls podcast,
Yeah.
Lori Eddy.
Uh-huh.
Give you a shout out. Now, of course, you've played with Lori for years.
Yeah.
Going to the Scotties. Was that 25 years ago?
25 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got the pleasure of playing with Lori and Scott McDonald and Laura Neal at Mix this year, so shout out to them as well.
Yeah, Lori's had a pretty good season with winning 2 provincials, getting to go to the mixed Canadians and then to the senior Canadians. So, been a busy year for her. I hope her messages are all positive.
Oh yeah. She said mention the podcast at least 52 more times. So we're gonna try and drop that in as much as we can, Lori.
Well, funny enough, I got out of my car to come into the building today, and there was another gentleman walking in with me. I've never met him, and he says, "I'm a big fan about the podcast." Well, like I said earlier, they did try to get some rocks in play here, calling the very first guard or shot of this end a guard, but slipped into the rings, and that's what happens. And then it becomes a much more defensive end.
Absolutely, and I'm sure this won't be the case for the whole game, or at least we hope so. We hope we have more things to discuss, but of course, if that's their plan, that's good. And interesting to note is that on a lot of, we talked in the first end about those sort of free draws that you get when you play this open style and somebody hit and rolls out. And I believe there's been 3 or 4 of them so far, and they've all been Dobson's team.
Yes.
Who've had those free draws. So that'll be interesting to keep track of if we move forward. If it comes down to them having to make that draw to the wing or to the center, that they're going to have that little bit of extra experience doing that.
Another good thing that they can do here with it not being too many, no difficult situations here, is kind of experiments with their hit weight. It's so important. This one they've upped it a bit, but it's so important to hit and stick in this curling game of ours these days. And sometimes teams tend to up their weight when they don't need to, because it's not necessarily what you make, it's what you leave. So leaving rocks in the rings is a good thing.
Absolutely, and if anyone was watching the women's game this morning, I mentioned sort of that exact same thing. There were a couple times where, if maybe you don't make the shot you're trying to call, but if you leave your shooter somewhere in the rings, you might force the other team to play and give yourself opportunities by rolling out. In this case, maybe rolling out isn't necessarily the worst thing because there's really no risk in play anyway.
Yes.
But if you get into an end where there's maybe a guard up somewhere and you hit and roll out and you give the other team a free opportunity to draw around there, that's when you start getting yourself into some problems.
Exactly. And some teams feel a little nervous throwing down weight on hits. So it's something that you need to practice and get comfortable at doing.
10-5.
You're going to see Jacob Dobson here again, his first rock here in the second end, looking to progress this on towards a blank. We saw him make it in the first.
So all these kids are playing for a chance to go play in Switzerland, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
and when would that be? Do we know, Matt?
I believe it's sometime in February.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure on the dates, but there is a competition called the Swiss Cup over in Bern this year. And so the winners on the men's and women's U21 side will represent Canada at that event as Team Canada, I believe. And I believe, it would just be an incredible experience, obviously, at this age to have, obviously to go to overseas, to go to Switzerland would be cool in of itself, but to represent your country and get that international curling experience is something that I think they'll be able to draw on for the rest of their lives. And
yes.
this trip was, of course, this event used to be, was sort of derived from the TCA championships back in the day. And the trip to Switzerland was always a mainstay of that event for years. And it, for almost more than a decade now, has been off the roster. Grant Cowan, the organizer of this event, took over the event a couple years ago. And that was, talking to him last night, he said that was one of the really important things that meant a lot to him that he wanted to bring back was that trip, and took a lot of work, but they've been able to do that here, and I think it'll be an incredible experience for whoever is able to come out with the win here.
Well, and I think, I don't know, I know for sure this was supposed to happen last year, but with COVID shutdowns, it was canceled. I don't even know, maybe it was 2 years that he's been trying to get this thing going. But anyway, it's going now, and I walked into this building today and absolutely packed with parents and friends and coaches and players, so it's amazing.
Yeah, thankfully we have a little tent up here. We're like sectioned off, which is really nice. But it's a packed house here, and I'm sure it'll only continue to get more packed as the weekend continues on. So final shot coming here from Jacob Dobson here in the second end, looking to continue the status quo and look for a blank end here. This one on the other side of the sheet from where he threw his first one. So based on what I saw this morning, this might curl a little bit more than the one he threw in the first end.
I think you're right about that, Matt.
And that'll come up just that little bit extra. Removes the stone, but is not able to roll out himself. So Jacob Dobson will have to take a single point here in the second end. He'll take a 1-0 lead after 2 ends of play. When we come back, Landon Rooney will have the hammer and will look to capitalize.
Doesn't matter if you're just learning how to play
or competing at the top level of the game.
We'll go for fun.
And Gold Line gear?
This is for everyone.
These shoes are more comfortable than ever.
These are stable.
These make me slide straight.
These make me slide fast.
The new Impact Head maximizes performance.
And can we talk about grip zone technology?
Because it's on the brooms and the gloves.
Beginner or pro, they got something for you.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a Gold Line.
And it's the choice of champions.
Yeah, trying to grind. Okay. My bad on that last one. Jeez. Doesn't even know if he knows. No, I kicked off with soft weight. Just shoved it. So.
And we're back here in the third end of play. And Rooney will take the hammer off that nosed blank attempt. We saw a fair number of those actually in the first game too on the women's side, just nosing those blank attempts. And do you think that's just a byproduct of the fact that it's the first game of the week? You try to maybe throw those a little bit safer if you're unsure about the ice. I mean, obviously nosing is always better than flashing and giving up the steal. So maybe just playing it safe and tightening up your throws a little bit to make sure that you're on the right side of that inch.
I think so. I don't think the hit and roll out is as easy as you may think.
Yeah.
You can make them when you're not trying, more so. But when you really want that blank, I agree. You have to hit the rock first. Maybe that's in your mind. Anyway, we got something going on here. Nolan Gallardo's first rock was supposed to be a tight guard. It went in, but we did see the corner guard go up by Chris Oka. So got some action going on here now, Matt.
I agree. I think that's, an experienced call by Landon. The fact that, yes, they slipped into the rings. It's in front of the button, but the fact that it's top 12 means it's a rock you're maybe not so worried about.
Yeah.
Something you can move out of the way later. You could probably outdraw it if you had to. So he takes the opportunity to throw up the corner. And now after that guard, maybe just guarding the wrong side of that one shot, now you have the opportunity to bump that rock in the rings and roll behind the corner yourself.
Yeah, that's where that center line guard either needs to be covering the rock fully or, as you said, Matt, actually over curled to cover the side where they can't get this hit and roll behind the corner. Looks like this one is over curling.
We never saw a whole lot of movement on this spot in the first game, so maybe just got that one going a little bit. Definitely had the weight they were looking for.
That just moved more than we thought.
It's not a terrible result, though. It does move the red rock to the back of the rings.
Yeah, you're right. It's not. It does move it out of the way. I think they would have liked to, if they were going to miss that tight, maybe over curl a little bit more to get that yellow rock out of the way. But
Yes.
as it is, if Jacob Dobson can make Daniel Del Conte can make a really good draw here, can get in a kind of a safe spot, I think you'll see Landon just walk up and start playing some run backs, try to open things up.
Not happy with this one. I think they're all getting a little fooled on how fast this ice surface is.
Yeah, and we saw the same thing on the women's game. They blanked a couple ends, and when they finally decided to sort of go for it, almost all the draws were heavy.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think maybe just that opportunity. Now, that's a bit surprising because we said that the Dobson team had those free opportunities to draw earlier in the game. I can't remember if Daniel was one of those, but slips a little bit deep, slips through. Now it's Joel Matthews' attempt to draw around this guard, get a rock in a good spot.
Great throw, really good.
That's a pretty good shot.
Yeah, awesome throw.
Gets it mostly buried. Looks like he could play the out turn draw to it if he wanted to. I don't think that would be a bad call, especially without the hammer to try and force things. But looks like he's more deciding to play this run back, yellow into red into yellow. I'd be a little concerned about where this yellow rock that he's running back is going to go. It's an opportunity it could roll into the ring somewhere.
Let's go. Get out. That works.
Not a bad result there. Removes the two guards. That yellow is now sort of exposed in the rings. One of the problems is that red back 8, though. That's pretty close to a jam if you tried to straight hit that yellow. So something they'll have to think about. Now Landon has the opportunity to, while they're figuring that out, just draw around this corner guard. Joel Matthews, Ontario college champion, who was telling us before the game. Great experience there.
Sorry, good throw. Yeah.
This one's slipping maybe a little bit deep. I think it's still in an okay spot, though.
Yeah.
If you run that red straight back, or maybe hit it just a tad on the center line side, you might be able to get pretty close to a double. It's difficult to tell. Of course, this is a big shot here, though. You definitely want to remove one of those yellows on this. Noah Garner with his first here in this third end of play. Attempting the run back, starting to curl.
Trying the double here, actually. Very nice shot.
Very good. Does not remove that second yellow from play, but rolls to a very good spot. I think there's a hole that Landon Rooney might be able to play through to remove this red stone, but if he doesn't make it, you're going to have an opportunity here.
Yeah, I think this is worth a try. I think he's going to throw like a hack weight type of shot on this if he happens to rub that front red guard on the way through. It's not terrible. Oh, this is really curling.
Yeah, you definitely didn't want to. Definitely one of the shots you wanted to make. I think if anything, though, maybe the corner wasn't the rock that you wanted to wreck on, though, because this leaves not only gives Jacob the opportunity to hit this yellow stone if he chooses, but leaves that red center guard there too, which may pose some problems because now with that shooter rolling to the other side as well, Landon really only has one way to the button. I think you have to hit this if you're Jacob, but something to think about in the future. If you can ever draw or like block off the in-turn draw path, you could really take away Landon's options. Trying to get a little bit of extra curl out of this one, and he will. Just hits it on the nose. You make a hit and roll or a little freeze there, Mary. You have a couple options here. You can either just hit and roll in front of the other red one,
Right.
stay there, or if you end up over curling a little, you can roll all the way under the guards on the other side. I think that would be pretty good.
First was real nice. Yeah. Wait a second.
Daniel Hochever here. Starting to curl. Looks pretty close to making either shot. Might over roll. Ooh, very good. Actually touches that other stone
Really
and
nice
spins
shot.
up above the tee line. Now, though, big opportunity here for Jacob Dobson. If you can ever stick this run back, does not leave a lot of room for Landon to get in there.
No, it doesn't.
I like it. I'd probably throw it close.
And Landon would be facing 3 reds in the house, so
Worst case scenario is appeal.
Yeah. Was it good board? Or? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hit it early because I said it was controlled.
Yeah.
It was board.
Okay.
9? Yeah.
This is the same turn Jacob threw with his last shot last end, so different spot of on the ice, but should have a decent idea of how it's going to move. Throw a little extra weight to take away a couple more jam opportunities.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Curl, 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 curl!
Should be wide.
Okay, hard on the roll.
Just runs it by. Does roll into the rings, leaving the yellow exposed.
Yeah. I should just
yeah. Interesting now situation for the Rooney team here, Matt. Where do you go with this?
I was just thinking about
Yeah.
that. What do you do here if you're Landon? I mean, if you could place a rock anywhere, there's probably room to draw around that yellow guard, sit third shot, and you'll probably have a shot for 2 on your last, or at least a draw for 1. The only other thing I see is maybe hit that red back 4, but I don't know where you'd have to roll all the way across the rings to maybe not leave a double, and that's
Right.
kind of tricky.
Yeah.
That's fine. Opens it up.
The double's not
Too much they can
this
do.
isn't bad. 'Cause
I guess if you hit it right on the nose, it's not an easy double.
Yeah.
Might be a little thin.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, you can play the hit like you got options. You roll wide, like
like we're making
worst case, you got to hit for 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're right on the nose is probably the best one.
Okay. Yep.
Because the thin
Yeah,
double
no,
rolls
for
out.
sure.
Yep.
And we're getting the blank.
Even like a just. Yeah, actually, no, nose is good.
I think right on the nose is good.
Yep. Okay, you got it.
Control weight. Give me whatever you gave me in the first
They
one.
make some good points there, Matt. Like, you know, you do want to try to get 2 points when you have the hammer, but most important is you have to score. You know, and so you want to make sure that you have something. Don't leave them something.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You need to, if you can play your career and when you have hammer, put a point on the board
Right.
all the time, you know, you're doing pretty well. I think
Yeah.
most games are lost on giving up a steal. So,
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the blank isn't entirely out of play here. If Landon happens to make the double, it'll be difficult, I think, for Jacob to make a double and actually stick around in
Right.
the rings. This one's definitely curling early, though.
Gotta go. Art to stay.
taking
Like
off.
nudge their yellow. Oh. That's tough.
Yeah, just rolls out and I mean pretty much leaves a
The
straightforward
road's
shot
fine
here for
as long
Dobson.
as it's gone, yeah.
Where's the
That's perfect.
Sorry.
What's the ideal place to roll here, Mary? Because
Yeah.
of course I think if you roll up to the 12-foot, it's just a pretty easy draw. But
Yeah.
if you nose it, then
Have
it's
two in, we
just
can
a
always roll out.
straightforward
We
nose
can't
hit.
miss
I'd like
the
to,
jam side,
if you
but
could roll anywhere you want,
I'd like
I'd
to
almost
stick in
like to
there,
roll
make
like
it a little
just outside the 4-foot kind of thing on the other side.
Yeah.
Don't give him a ton of space to hit and stick around with.
You mean the 4-foot side where the guards are?
The other side.
The other side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Towards where the broom is, roll.
Yeah.
Roll 2 feet, maybe just hang on to the 4-foot kind of thing.
The path Chris broke.
Yeah, you want to put your opposition in a bit of an uncomfortable situation. They're going to be throwing a shot against 2.
It doesn't really matter what you leave, but if you can make them even just think about whether they
Right.
want to draw or hit, that's, I think, a good opportunity. I think here it's going to be pretty straightforward.
definitely felt big.
Looks like he called the hit, I guess. Yep. Could play the draw. I mean, I
sure.
think
Yeah.
this is actually the path that he would have thrown his draw for hammer too, this intern going away. So definitely would be an opportunity, but he feels a bit more comfortable with the hit.
Yeah.
Just saw his last one take off though in this exact spot, so we'll keep an eye early if the sweepers start jumping it.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong call here. It's whatever the skip feels they're more comfortable in making.
It does come out nicely. He almost got back to the.
So final rock here in the third end for Landon Rooney, looking to
I think it was just
make a nose hit at the back of the 8-foot and take his single point.
Whoa, whoa,
Mission accomplished if you're Team Dobson, but this one
hard,
actually needs to curl in
Gotta
order
go,
to stick
hard.
around.
really hard.
Trying to get that last little bit of movement. He will remove the stone. Rolls about a rock, but enough to stick around and take a single point. The end of 3 ends here. We have a tie game. It's 1-1, and when we come back, Jacob Dobson will have the hammer.
I missed a shot.
I made the wrong call. I didn't sweep hard enough. We let you down.
At least that's what they say.
Like they want us to quit. But that's not who we are. That's not what champions do. Champions fight back.
Champions rise again.
Champions are resilient. And make no mistake,
We are champions.
Gold Line, the choice of champions.
It's running faster for sure. Like notably different than the start of the game. No, for sure. Yeah. Okay, let's keep it going.
And we're back here in the fourth end of play as we see Team Rooney's lead Chris Oka throwing the first stone.
All there right now. 3.
Landon threw, was a bit surprised, I guess, that he decided to throw the hit, but I guess the fact that he just threw it, he was a bit more comfortable with it. A little bit wider, but is able to hang around enough to get his single point. See here, center guard thrown up, so maybe we'll get a couple more rocks in play this end.
I think so.
Yeah, good
Lead
throw,
for
Colin.
Team Dobson
You're
is
perfect.
Nolan Gallardo.
Taking a little more ice, so, yeah.
Choosing the intern side, which makes sense. This is the side they threw their draw for hammer as well. From what we've seen, has a bit more curl to it. Looks like they're on it early here to try and get it high.
Hard! Hard, guys! Hard! 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 Any roll! Hard! Hard! Any roll! Any roll! Any roll! Any roll!
Good sweep.
Like,
Not
yeah, I thought it
quite
was okay
able to
too.
get it by, but the good thing is
Maybe it's a
the
little in,
weight
but-
was a good weight, so even though you touch the center, you roll to a good spot, you leave a corner
Yeah.
guard, something you might be able to use later. Chris Oka now with his second opportunity down this path to try and get this into the top of the 8-foot, top 4-foot.
Line's good. Line's good.
4.
Line's good.
4.
You got room.
5.
Coming around this guard with the other turn, which makes sense. If you come with the turn where that corner guard is, if you happen to leave it open, it's going to give the opposition opportunity to hit and roll behind that corner. So this is the right side to come around that rock.
I see here not really getting maybe a tiny piece buried, but pretty much edge on edge. But as you said, leaving it open on this side isn't as bad because if they hit and roll, they're going to be wide open.
Yeah. The other side, as you said, Matt, would have probably curled more behind
Yes.
that guard,
Yeah.
but pick your poison, I guess. This rock is almost fully exposed.
Control. Yep. Little down.
Control weight
Whoa,
hit
whoa,
here.
Whoa, whoa.
Saw
Crawl,
here
crawl,
last game
crawl.
with the bit more weight, anything more than board, this has a tendency to sort of track.
Hard.
Got about 11 seconds on the hit, so control makes sense, and it just doesn't get that little bit of extra curl, and I think they'll figure that out as they get more comfortable with the ice. But as you said, sort of in the first end, I think that's where you sort of take those opportunities earlier to maybe throw a little bit of a different weight, and you see what it does. If you throw hacker board there, it ends up coming up for you pretty nicely, I think, and just that little bit extra, it tends to run straighter.
Yeah. And that's, you know, it's a bummer when you have a shot like that and it rolls out of the rings, because then it's just, it's like a gift to the other team. Now they get the chance to come around. Now this is not working out for them.
15-2 on that hog-to-hog time. So 15 seconds, which looks like that would have been, the guard wasn't in the way, maybe top 8, top 4. So we're looking at some pretty fast ice out there.
Throw it good, though.
Now Team Dobson's going to attempt to come around the corner guard through the hole there, Matt. That's not an easy shot.
No.
No.
I think that's,
Where?
you know, you
Straight,
talk a lot about don't make things harder than they need to be, right? I know ideally we'd always love to be around our own color, but coming through this hole, if you're not entirely sure about the path, seems to just be it's difficulty for difficulty's sake now as we say that. You know, he makes
Perfect
it
shot.
Yeah, no problem.
Very nice shot.
But really, there wouldn't have been anything wrong, I think, with going around the yellow, which
Yes.
he would have had a bit more room to make, and that would have been the turn that curls a bit more. So even here, they made a great shot through the hole, but still a little bit exposed. I think Landon could throw a hack waiter just through, follow him down, and remove this.
It looked it, don't worry. It looked like it.
Again, not like that's an easy shot either. You saw there wasn't a whole lot of space here in this hole.
Hack. Little down.
Yep. Yep.
Down.
Hard.
Back
This
line.
one curling early. This is a problem here if this ends up staying in that port. Okay, no. Will able to squeak through, gets out of the way. I was a little bit worried if they sort of chunked both guards and stuck there guarding the red one. Pretty good weight choice there. I think that's sort of a sign of their experience. They're keeping, you don't have to throw too much. He threw just enough that he ticked the guard. He still rolls to a good spot. Jacob's going to hit it here. And
Pretty close.
I think you're pretty much always going to leave a double, unless you roll towards the center line side.
Do you like the hit?
I was thinking about that. You don't have to hit it.
No.
I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the hit. You could have just drawn around one of the corners again, though. One of the problems there, as I said, you make the hit, you leave a double. So, which I don't think you're necessarily upset about if you're Jacob. You still have the hammer. You're in a tie game. You have the advantage. Keeping things a little bit simpler may not necessarily be against your interest.
Looks like he just set that rock out right at the end.
Yeah, and that's the side of the sheet, or the turn that, you know, we've seen so far, at least today. It's going to run that little bit straighter on you, and you need to really be that much more precise with your releases.
Yes.
Because you can get it curling if you really wanted to. You can turn in, but also just that little bit of a set. It's not going to come back for you. So big opportunity here for Team Dobson.
Anything inside out backs up though. Anything inside out backs up.
Going to come up to Noah Garner here to put a good rock in a good spot. And I think if you make this draw good around the corner guard, keep it above the T line, it's hard not to imagine a 2.
It's out. Line is out.
At least a 2.
It's coming back. Curl.
The spot will curl.
Don't want to be heavy here. You got to have this in front of the tee.
Always curl. Hard
Looks
curl.
pretty good.
Always curl. Head
Daniel
down, curl.
Del Conte on the
Head down,
broom
curl.
trying to get
Hard,
this
hard,
little
hard,
bit
hard.
of a finish at the end. Is not able to get anything around the guard, though it looks maybe edge on edge, but the double is available for Team Rooney.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks like it's a comfortable speed to manage. I think that was just maybe a newer path.
Okay, yeah.
Daniel Hochever with his final stone here in the 4th end, trying to get Team Rooney out of trouble, make a double here, make 2 reds go away. Looks very close. Now they're on it.
Hard.
Makes a double the other way.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what the call was, but
Well, it looked like they were waiting early, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it just sort of, I'm sitting, where I'm sitting, it's right on that line. It
Probably
didn't
like showing half,
really,
man.
it definitely made a move, but I didn't think it was anything all that aggressive. Maybe they just got fooled by the spot a little bit, but able to make the double either way.
still not out of trouble here, though. It's a pretty good little setup for Team Dobson. They're now going to come around the yellow corner guard and then the yellow rock that's on the top 12.
Yeah, this is a difficult shot. You don't have a lot of room for error. Even though this spot curls a little bit more, there's the curl there. It's difficult to wrap it around this and keep it above the tee line. This is really curling onto that Yellowstone top 12.
Just a little light.
Yeah, and just
Like you say, Matt, though, that is, tough shot.
it's a very difficult
curl.
shot to put it in a good spot. I mean, it's not necessarily difficult in the sense that you just have to hit 8 foot to sit 2, but to really get it into a good spot and not leave a double, it is a bit more difficult. I was interested to see that they swept that to curl really early, and then they sort of got caught by it. And I didn't necessarily hear the call from the skip to do that. I might have just missed it, but that is a spot that curls. And yes, their first draw didn't necessarily get there, but I didn't think they were in that wide that they had to switch.
Right.
And it's up. Either way, it was light, but ends up over curling a little bit as well.
Their other option could have actually been to just come around the other corner guard.
That was a thought as well. Of course, you're grouping your red stones, but if you get it in a good spot,
So Landon's going after this rock that's sitting on the tee line here. He's throwing kind of like a hack weight shot.
Pretty good early.
Yeah.
Hard. All the way out.
Gets the rock, not enough to remove it, but I think pushes it far enough to at least sit shot.
Maybe try it.
Does leave a run back here for Jacob Dobson to sit 2.
Control right there. Sorry,
Daniel.
So I look over on some of the other sheets. This is an international field here. Mary looking over right on the sheet beside us, sheet 5. We do have the Swiss team playing the team from the United States. I was talking with Grant Cowan last night, and he was telling me that he was having a chat with Silvana Tiranzoni at one point. Silvana mentioned that what used to be the TCAs and is now this event, coming over as the Swiss team for that was her sort of first experience of international competition. And now, of course, years later, multiple-time world women's champion, Olympian, and getting that kind of experience can be so helpful, especially at a young age, to develop your skills. And to see a success story like that, I'm sure is something that these curlers will look up to a little bit.
Yeah, we need these curlers to continue on with this game.
Big shot here for Jacob Dobson. Not a long run back, but needs to hold this line. Looks very close. Gets one, gets two. Almost rolled the shooter in two, actually. I don't think they were expecting that.
I kicked off really big. Normal.
But a very good shot nonetheless. Sits to Landon. Opportunity here, I think, to maybe take it all away if he can make a very good roll here behind these guards. But I think you're pretty happy if you're Dobson right now.
Absolutely. Important for Landon to at least not roll out in this situation. I do see a red rock that's very close to the rings in the front that possibly be split into the house.
It was tough. I wasn't sure if it would spit the other one out or not. For sure buried. He makes this and rolls behind the two guards. We'll throw the draw. It's my last. That's his last.
Final shot here for Landon Rooney, trying to take the opportunity away. This should curl. Maybe the early sweep just held it a little bit too much. They end up nosing it. And it's going to be an open hit here for Jacob Dobson to score his 2 points and take the advantage into the back half of this game. One of the things I always say, especially at this level, but pretty much any level, if you just want to keep the game close in the first 4 ends. If you get an opportunity like this to, take it 2 or something like that, that's great. But if you can get into the back half of the game with advantage, that's all you really want to do in the first 4 ends. And I think this is the opportunity. I think Jacob already had secured that, the fact that he was tied with Hammer and 4, but a 2 here would go a long way towards getting himself towards a win.
Yeah, very important, Matt. I say throughout the entire game, if you can, you have to stay in the game. So you can't get too far behind. 2 points behind to me is too many. I get a little uncomfortable with it. So you always want to stay in the game. This is really cool.
Sure if that picked or something. It didn't seem to hate it out of his hand. This might. They got away a little bit. I was a little worried they might take that yellow in for a second point, but big missed opportunity. Not sure if that grabbed something or just did something they weren't expecting, but at the end of the day, it's going to go up as a point for Landon Rooney, and it's going to be a 2-1 lead for him as Jacob Dobson will continue to have the hammer going into the back half of this game. We're going to take a quick commercial break, come back in the 5th when play resumes.
Hey guys, Stu here again, and I'm having a crazy day because in the morning I was in the East End and now I've zipped across the city to the West End and I'm in the Junction Triangle, and we are bringing another spectacular semi to market. And this one is super cool because you know what? It's 3 gorgeous, stunning units. So you know what? You want to live in one and you want to collect a bunch of rent from the other 2, pay your mortgage. It's an amazing investment. Each apartment's been totally done. Brand new kitchens, appliances, gorgeous wood floors. They've done all the work. They dug around the basement, waterproof it, sump pump, paved a new driveway, new windows, new roof. It is an unbelievable investment, and it's a great location right in the Junction Triangle. Lots of cool little funky shops and cafes on a net, and then you just hop over DuPont and Dundas and you're in the Junction, the coolest area in the city. You're close to High Park, Bloor West, Transit, the Up Express downtown, Black Creek Drive, Stockyards. It's an unreal location, great investment. So go to stewsales.ca, see all the pictures, video tours, and videos, and give me a call.
And we're back as play kicks off here in the second half of Draw 2 action here at the Canadian Junior Cup from the Oshawa Curling Club. And I mean, let's let's go back a little bit to the end of that fourth end. Of course, let's just say it was a pick. We're not exactly entirely sure what happened, but it looked that way. So if you're sort of the Dobson coach there, Mary, they don't get a fourth end break here, but if you're coming out in the fourth end or you had the opportunity to say something to them after that, how do you sort of bounce back from them? And you got to do it quickly, obviously, because you can go out there right away again for the fifth end, but what do you say to someone in that kind of a position?
Well, it's tough, yeah. Like, I don't know if that was just the rock was not thrown well, and if that's the case, you know, you just got to tell the skipper, let's just move forward instead of, you know, just forget about what happened. It's still a very close game, like you say. You always try to keep it close, and what's done is done, and let's just move on. And funny enough, the first rock in this next end also, it didn't make it over the hog line.
Yeah.
So they're trading opportunities here a little bit. But, you know, I think you got to remember in the game of curling, you're gonna have your chances. There's still 4 ends of play to go here. It's a very close game, so just keep trying to make shots.
Some sage advice there, Mary. But no, I did hear them say a little bit during the short break that, you know, I think they had a very good outlook on it. They said, well, you know, we had an opportunity. We're playing well. We're making opportunities for ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that's how you have to look at it. You just have to keep playing the way you were playing. I mean, at one point in that end, they were looking to sit 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, Landon's team made a very good double. But even then, the fact that you played that entire end with basically a 2 in your pocket, I think that's something to take a positive out of.
It is.
And you just got to think, you don't have to, like, you know, start throwing everything at the wall. Just keep doing what you've been doing and play it out and see what you can get.
Solid board.
It's very much a head game, though, and a young skip, if they threw that rock badly, you know, you're going to be hard on yourself, and you're going to, it was an open hit, and why did I not do that? So it's really tough to pull yourself out of that and just move on and tell yourself you can do it.
It's always the best skips have a short memory.
Well, exactly. It's the truth.
Free throw. Perfect. Sorry? I think solid board.
It's always a team thing too. Like, you can't,
Definitely wasn't down.
you know, everyone has to accept that it happened and just move on, not get frustrated or anything like that. They do have the opportunity here in this end, though. Daniel Del Conte is going to attempt to remove both of these yellow stones. Important here to keep the shooter around. Doesn't, so Landon just peel the corner. No, he's going to toss up the center guard. Definitely could have taken the opportunity to maybe run the end out and peel off the corner. He's going to try to push the envelope a little bit more either way. But those are sort of those situations, especially that shot by Daniel there. It's not necessarily important to make the double.
Right.
If you end up even nosing that rock, you sort of jam it back, but you keep your shooter around as like a corner guard or something.
Yep.
I think that's the important sort of part of that. And by not just missing the double, but by rolling out, Landon, you gave Landon the opportunity. He's not taking it to walk up and peel that corner, but it was there.
Keep going, keep curling, keep curling, keep going, keep going.
Of course, I'm not saying with a 1-point lead, you should just try to run away with it and go peel, but you have the opportunity to put an end away and take an end from your opposition. Might not be a bad thing.
So the guard there just ends up over the hog line. They would have liked that a little deeper, so it is giving Dobson team an opportunity here to get at that top 12 rock, and they could maybe get behind that corner guard with the roll.
Daniel Del Conte, plenty of experience himself, competing at the Canada Games in 2019, winning a silver medal, I believe, if I remember correctly, as well as competing at the U21 National Championships last year in Stratford as, I believe, Team Ontario 2, if I remember.
Good weight. 11-8. You like control?
You're not going to stay if you throw
It's tough to
control.
remember nowadays with those
I know.
young nationals who was Team Ontario and Team Ontario 2 with
Yes,
all the
yeah.
extra, I guess, wild card spots, if we want to call it that. But at the end of the day, if you win it, you win it. Nobody remembers what you're what team you were.
So they're choosing to come at this rock with the other turn, which is always a bit of a guess when you're going away from the center line.
This should come off the line. Looks like he might have set that back a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Little bit
did.
of extra weight and never gave it an opportunity.
I think sometimes those are a bit of an optical thing too. He doesn't like the way it looks when he's throwing this rock because it was the reverse stagger on those guards as well, and just subconsciously I think threw that one a little bit wide.
Yeah, and you have to really think about how you want to. You never want to miss shots, obviously, but you always have to think about what's the better way to do it. And in that scenario, I mean, you wreck on the center guard and roll to a corner, and you give Dobson the opportunity to now play around two corner guards now. Whereas, if you're a little bit tight on that and you wreck on the corner guard, maybe you roll into the rings, or at the very least, you still have a center guard up that you might be able to use later.
Wait, Oli!
Now looks like they're playing a little Oh, that picked.
That one definitely.
Oh, that's a shame.
See if they can get something out of it, though.
Settle.
That's too bad.
Yeah. I will say, though, I'm very impressed with the fact that they stuck with that.
Yes.
And, a lot of times when a rock picks, you'll see a team just throw their hands up and sort of walk away from it. But no, they sort of stuck with that, and obviously didn't get a great result, but I think got the best that you could have. At least moved that yellow rock in the way of the red so Landon can't hit it. He's going to, of course, draw around it, though, and try and get one buried, and you're going to be in trouble if he does. But your opportunity for two isn't necessarily dead.
Right.
This one looking a little heavy.
Yep. Just hit it. Go ahead. Keep going.
Doesn't matter if it's a little heavy as long as it's buried.
That's actually pretty good.
I think so. I think it's good enough.
Not bad.
They seem to be talking about hitting it with board. I was thinking, a little bit less, but I think it is accessible. Not an easy shot,
A
though.
little heavy, maybe.
I got a 14-4 on that.
Okay. Yeah, Chris said 15 or 14-5 before. I think he was saying like this.
Again, want to keep your shooter in play here. That's what we've talked about.
These shots are all about weight control.
Yeah.
I think especially, as you get older and at least on the men's side, I can speak to, you start getting sweepers that are very strong who can manipulate the line if they have to. You don't necessarily have to be right up the broom. What's important, though, is that you throw the right weight.
Right.
Straight! Hard! Curl!
Pretty good shot there. He's able to make it and stick around. I think it's very difficult for Rooney to get to the inside if he tries to make a hit. So best case might be a freeze here. You try to remove it. I guess you kind of have to try to.
Yeah, I think so.
Take the risk.
Yeah.
Backed way off.
Maybe if it was like buried and inaccessible, I think
For sure.
probably play the freeze.
Yeah.
But looks like you could throw a hack waiter. Maybe. I think you want to try and get to nose, because if you roll into the open, you're going to give Jacob the opportunity to hit and roll behind. So basically same shot. Dobson just played, trying to follow him down, make a nose hit.
Yeah, no, I was kind of shocked. I thought we were going to have to move it over a little bit more. Just a little bit. Close. By a little bit, half a second. Unsurprised.
Yep!
Throwing really nice weight at this.
Curl!
Looks great.
Now Chris Oka takes over, tries to get a little bit of finish at the end. He does. Moves the rock. Just perfect weight control. That allowed them to work with that stone a little bit.
Hack.
So you think now, Matt, where do you want your shooter to go with this shot?
I think the opportunities there, you could get to the inside, but to do that, you'd probably have to throw just backline weight. you could probably make it perfect enough to throw enough weight to push it back far enough to sit to and get to the inside, but then you're maybe just trying to be a bit too precise. I think a nose hit sort of does the job.
What about rolling, just rolling to the wing?
Could do that too, of course. Right, that's probably the easiest way just to get to.
To get to, I think.
If you're trying to get a little bit more, then you try to get to the inside. If you hit and roll to the wing, Landon's going to hit it. You probably have an open shot for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah! Yeah! Hard!
So it's Nolan Gallardo on the inside trying to hold this stone, get it by the guard. Looks like they will. Now trying to get a little bit of finish. That kind of weight, that's about as good as you could do. I still don't think it's easy to get to the inside for Landon, so he's probably just going to remove this stone. For all intents and purposes, I think Jacob will at worst have the same shot for his two.
Because I knew as soon as it jumped, it was gone. Yeah, you have. It's like a late. Yeah, for sure.
Good toss. It's a little light.
Yeah. Mine ran just a little bit differently than yours do, so it worked out. Yeah. It's that later break. That mine has. Yeah.
I think if he hits this on the nose, Matt, I think that would then force Dobson just to draw first too. Do you think?
Do you think yellow will be second shot if he noses it? I think it'll be close.
Yeah. Oh, this.
Oh, that just took off.
Or maybe not.
Was an early sweep call, so he might have just pitched it the line a little bit, but he's going to sail through the rings, and it's been a bit of a game of missed opportunities, giving chances back and forth, and here the chance now with Jacob Dobson will be to hit the ocean, as we say, for his three.
I think if it's close to the center, it's going to go.
This is a pretty nice situation for Dobson here. He's, you know, he's got a couple of rocks there that he could nuzzle up to.
Yeah,
not a whole lot of pressure.
Unless you hit a guard or you throw like board weight, it's pretty tough to not or come up light, I guess. But with backing, that would be a pretty big miss. So it's you got a lot of room to work with to be a little bit heavy here to get your third point.
And important to ice yourself accordingly. If you want to throw this rock, you know, a back four type of weight, T-line type of weight, make sure that you're icing yourself for it. Because those guards could actually come and play. The red guard for sure.
This is the straighter side of the sheet too. If he ends up throwing, if he's icing it for like a straight draw and he ends up throwing just through, sets it out a little bit, and you start getting into trouble. But
seen that happen before.
So final stone here in the fifth end. The big chance for Team Dobson to hit paint and score three. It's curling early. Could lose its weight with it. Looks like it should be fine though. Sweepers seem to like it. Lean it into the rings. It will come up to that stone, bump it an inch or two. And it's 3 points for Jacob Dobson. A big swing in this game after one miss there by Landon Rooney. He'll take a 4-2 lead after 5 ends of play. When we come back after a quick commercial break, Team Rooney will try to bounce back with the hammer.
Anyone can be scared to try something new.
But moving outside of your comfort zone
can open new possibilities.
And having the courage to change something
doesn't change who you are.
So why try something new?
To innovate,
to create a legacy,
to make an impact.
You have to earn it.
And you better be ready to enjoy it.
Because you never know
who else you might make an impact on.
What impact will you make?
Goldline, the choice of champions.
Straight! Straight! Hard straight! Where are we? Number! Okay, guard then. Make it a good guard. 2. Okay. 3. That works. That works! Is this best guard yet? Yeah.
Back to the 6th end here. Draw 2 action of the Canadian Junior Cup. Here we have Team Rooney and Dobson facing off in this match, and after a big fifth end there by Dobson scoring 3 points, he has a 4-2 lead with just 3 ends to play. Of course, Team Rooney with the hammer will try to bounce back and get a couple of his own. And I still think it's important. We talked about earlier, yes, 2 points kind of takes you out of the game, but you don't need to get scared or really like sell the farm if you're Team Rooney. You get a 2 here, that's going to be more than enough to tie the game. You plan on forcing them in 7, get your 2 and 8 to hopefully win. I think that's your game plan. You're not quite where you need to start taking big risks and big opportunities to try and go for a 3 or 4.
And Team Dobson being up 4-2 here in the 6th end. They did put up a center guard. They could have put one in the rings. I'm not sure what the call was.
Yeah,
but they're going to stay on the aggression.
It's a bit of a surprise, especially, earlier in the game, they were playing very conservatively in the first couple ends, and we've got a few guards up now. Everyone's sort of coming up a little bit late. I might want to break out my stopwatch.
Yeah,
we might be seeing
think
it come down. We did see on the women's draw this morning that maybe by like the 7th or 6th end, late 6th end, it started to come down a little bit, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, this is usually a sign if you watch the first 4 or 5 ends of this game, it was very fast. People were putting their draws in the hack, and now all of a sudden they're not making the rings, so that's usually a sign that perhaps the ice has slowed down a little bit.
All there, 7-8.
So I got about a 14-2, which is about a second faster than what we were seeing earlier in the game, where we were around like 15, maybe 15-5 for a draw. So that usually equates to about, usually a second is about 6 feet.
Yep.
So depending on what we're seeing here, it's difficult to tell from back here, but we might be seeing anywhere from 4 to 8 feet slower than we were at the start of the game. And that does take a lot to adjust to, especially I'd say at these younger levels. Sometimes, it takes a while to get that feel and what is, an extra 4 feet kind of feel like.
I think at any level it's tough to adjust to. If you're playing, I love playing on ice where the draw weight is consistent from first end to last. It takes a lot of thinking out of the equation. Once you got it, you got it. So there's a mistake there by Team Dobson going deep on that one, and that's going to give Rooney a chance here now to get another good one in the top 4 area here.
Yeah, and these are always sort of very double-edged positions when you get those like staggered guards up front.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Team Rooney with the hammer, obviously you don't want staggered guards up, but the way this end has played out, you might not really have any other chance. If you can get one in there, get a couple in there buried, you probably end up having actually a pretty good position for yourself here, though. Definitely a couple,
Not bad.
don't know if you'd call them errors or just, not believing what they're seeing in the ice, but just not being very precise with those draws so far. It's going to be, I think, whoever gets a rock in there first is going to have a big advantage this end. Right now it's Daniel Del Conte's turn to see if he can figure it out.
4, 3,
5, 7, 7, straight. Hard, guys. Hard. All the way, guys.
Line looks pretty good. They need to get it there, though. Love to get this to the full 4-foot if they can. Garner and Gallardo on the brooms get it far enough, I think, to be shot. Great sweep there.
Landon's going to have to take a look at some of these rocks on the center line in front of the house here and maybe try to remove a few of them.
Just with the way they're, I think it's really hard to get more than 2 guards going. Great thing about that stone, too, that was just played by Daniel is even if he is able to remove these rocks and sort of open it up with that yellow in the back of the 4-foot, it's hard to remove that red one.
Yep. Keep going.
lose a shooter. Shot.
Nice.
Makes a double peel, but still 2 good center guards up for Jacob. Oh, Mary, do you just guard for your life now, or?
Hopefully we can get at that red at some point.
I think eventually you might want to play another block into the rings, but I don't know if necessarily you have to yet.
No, I kind of like the guard.
You don't mind a high one if you're comfortable with it. I think if you try to go tight here, you're sort of just grouping a lot more stones and giving Landon the opportunity to move them around. If you go a high guard, I think that's sort of a complementary stone. You toss it up high now, so when Landon eventually peels everything, then you can go tight later and get a lot of separation.
Low line, let it stop. Let it stop. Let it stop. Let it stop.
Let's go, boys.
Up in a very good spot there. Nothing really
well,
accessible here for
all
Rooney.
just the way to
Best
throw.
chance might be to try and double peel the red and the yellow on the center. Maybe
There's
that
like
yellow
a tree
comes
or
back
something,
and
like just-
pick off that red out of the
How
full
much?
foot.
Like
Oh,
half.
that's fine.
That's what I do.
It was still within the tolerance. So.
I think he's looking at the double peels on the reds, which is not an easy shot.
No, and it's possible that the red could just jam back into the yellow and
Yes,
sit there.
yeah.
Yep. Whoa, no.
Gets it over the top, moves the yellow into the top of the 12 foot. Pretty good results.
Pretty good.
You have to be careful here if you're Jacob, but I don't like leaving that yellow in the top 12 foot. I'd be inclined to hit it. You want to hit it like as close to nose as you can to keep your rock there as a guard, but of course then you bring, getting close to taking your own out on the way by. This is where you talk about knowing what that lighter weight is going to do can be really beneficial here. If you feel comfortable with throwing hack at it, that keeps your shooter around a lot closer. That little extra weight, this one tracks straighter, rolls out.
Okay, that's fine.
So much better situation now for Team Rooney. Absolutely, got all those center line guards out of the way, and he's got a little more to work with here now.
Yeah. No, I mean they gotta make it play on it still.
I was tight. Fed you in out.
Yeah, it was just I think if you threw a 10-5, it would have come back to it nicely.
Throwing board weight at this.
That's fine.
I like that call.
Yep.
And you have to keep your shooter around here. Picking it out doesn't do anything for you.
This looks pretty good.
Needs to come up a little bit. Be close. Very good.
A little too far.
That way?
Does leave a double, but it was pretty hard to
it
not do that, I think.
Get that 9?
You try so hard to roll far enough to not leave a double. Most
They
times
run
you just
really
roll
straight
on
here,
it.
I
So
think.
You like this way?
Yeah, I think you have to play it that way, eh?
And he's got to make the double, so there's still some chances here.
be about a half rock, maybe a little less.
I mean, it's still a good shot.
Yeah.
9?
This, I play the double, we get the blank.
Yeah. It's about a quarter.
Much better than it was.
He's playing it inside out, right? To flash it straight here, right? So where I flash mine, right?
9.
Ripping. Like I gave you an inch off the rock.
Yeah.
And like I saw it back up half rock. It was gross.
Jeez.
Like if it had done the other way, you'd think it would picked.
Yeah.
Jacob Dobson, big weight from the kid here.
Yeah. Whoa! Whoa!
Oh, it's wide.
Whoa! Curl! Whoa!
Ooh, this needs to curl.
I think he's gonna risk. Nope. Fuck me.
Oh dear. And you know, Matt, I don't know if you heard, we can hear the curlers out there. The Rooney team, when they saw that broom go down, said
Yeah.
He's playing it inside out. It's extremely straight in that spot.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
And that's exactly what happened.
And thinking back to 2 ends ago, Rooney did play that spot a couple times when he was trying to make that hit through the hole. I believe they actually flashed one or wrecked on a guard, if I remember correctly, wide in that spot, so they knew what that spot was going to do. Jacob, to their credit, they also, I think, threw a draw down that path, but maybe not that big weight hit, so just got caught a little bit there, a little bit wide, never came back for him. Now, he's always going to have an opportunity at the same double, so hopefully he can learn from that, make it on his next one, and keep landing to 2, but Rooney, to his credit, put this in a good spot here, and you're pretty happy. I think 3 is sort of in your head now. You have to be careful, though. You don't want to not think about this and end up putting it in a spot that just gives Jacob an easier double, too.
Right. Yeah.
So put this somewhere, probably anywhere like top 4, top 8 over on the other side of the house, and you're probably okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams think, well, now we're set up for a 3, and but you're not necessarily taking 2 as the is the object.
If you try and make a good shot here, if Jacob ends up making the double, you can't be upset because you lost out on the chance for 3. It's still a very makeable double. This needs to get there though. 16-4.
No, that's not going to get there. So another missed opportunity there.
I think it's pretty much wherever
Dobson a chance here at this double again. Learning from the first throw for sure.
You like this? I think it's probably that.
Just heard him say pretty much just put the broom where you want to hit it.
Right.
So 16-4 on that draw by Landon. So probably if he threw that in the first couple ends, I think it definitely would have still needed a sweep, but they could probably at least get it in the rings.
Yeah,
but
I just
not here.
a little bit, put it and dumped it.
Now, he still doesn't have he still has a bit of ice here, and I don't know about you, Matt, but the tendency, these throws are kind of awkward because we don't play them all the time. And some people do tend to fiddle around with the release a bit on these because they feel like they're not sliding straight at the target. They tend to maybe do something with the rock at the end. See what he does. He did push it out again here, but I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, definitely needs to hold it straight.
This might actually...
Gallardo on the broom, does it come up? Gets one, touches the second stone, but not enough. Just that early sweep again, I think maybe not quite believing.
Yeah.
Looked like he might have maybe slid a little tight and sort of helped it back, so
I
maybe
think
just
so.
unsure where exactly the rock was. But
yeah, and that's, as the person in the house has to take that into consideration, that if they in-out the rock a little bit, he got on that awfully quick, and when you in-out the rock, that rock's going to run for a bit. So, and again, like we've been saying, even if you don't make the double, it's important that you at least maybe hit and roll, stay in the rings, and make their shot a little harder for 2.
Right. And just as we said, you can't be frustrated that you missed out on that chance for 3. You have to get in the hack here, make this draw for 2. Final stone in the 6th then coming from Landon Rooney.
Most think against 2, it's a tie game.
Hit the ocean for your second point.
Line's good.
No, it's all good.
Run it like it's heavy. Run it like it's
Looking
heavy.
a lot better.
Going into the game, it was going to curl.
Sweepers seem to like it. Should be there.
Nice shot.
Slips into the back of the 4-foot, back of the 8-foot, back of the 12-foot, but it's still enough. And there it is. 2 points there for Landon Rooney in the 6th end. Ties up the game. When we come back after a quick commercial break in the 7th, it'll be a 4-4 game, and Jacob Dobson will try and strike back with his own hammer.
Doesn't matter if you're just learning how to play.
Or competing at the top level of the game.
We all go for fun.
And gold line gear?
This is for everyone.
These shoes are more comfortable than ever.
These are stable.
These make me slide straight.
These make me slide fast.
The new impact head maximizes performance. And can we talk about grip zone technology?
Because it's on the brooms and the gloves.
Beginner or pro, they got something for you.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
How's everybody feeling? Like the ice?
I'm good. I like it.
I like the ice, yeah. What are we thinking for the draw?
14-5 still, yeah.
I got 14.
Preferably
Welcome back to the 7th end of play here. Draw 2 of Canadian Junior Cup men's action.
Always Daniel. Don't want him. 3.
We have a bit of a slugfest going on out there, Mary. A couple of 2s, traded back 4 3s, mostly on some missed opportunities. I mean, Landon wrecks on a guard, gives Jacob the chance for 3. Jacob flashes a hit last end, gives Landon the chance to sit 3, misses the draw at when the dust all settles. Landon comes out with 2 points to tie the game. But definitely, I think even if you're Landon and you're sort of tied without here in 7, it's one of those games where you sort of feel like, well, the chance is still there for a steal with misses sort of going back and forth here.
Wait only.
Yeah, there's definitely been opportunities on both sides, so you never give up, that's for sure.
Straight. Straight.
And of course, this isn't the only game out there. We have a full slate of men's U21 and U18 games. So as we quickly look across the sheets, on sheet 1, Team McTavish holding a 9-0 lead over Team Jacques. Sheet 2, Team Jacques and Team Fisher tied 3-3. Sheet 3, McDougall with a 5-3 lead over Team Gonzaga. Of course, our sheet we know is a tie game between Rooney and Dobson. Going over to sheet 5, that is our Samson, the team from the United States, tied with Team Herman from Switzerland, 3-3. Over on sheet 6, Bryant holds 6-4 lead over Team King, and finally on sheet 7, Stratton with a 5-2 lead over Team Nepage. Plenty of recognizable names as we look across the sheets at this level. I think we're in for a very good competition this week, especially as we get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, I started commentating a few years ago, and I'm still seeing a lot of the same names here, which is great. So we saw the tick shot out of Team Dobson on the first rock here, and then another yellow guard has gone up a little bit tight to the rings.
Straight. Hard.
So maybe a little bit tight out of his hand.
Hard straight. Okay, curl.
Looks like it's by the guard now, and yeah, I mean,
Really hard.
I'm sitting right behind that line, and it just looks like it's all over that guard, and then right about the hog line, it just, it maybe even like backs up a little bit, but it definitely straightens out. Pretty good result though either way if you're making Landon Rooney play this rock.
Okay. Or it's a little early, I think. That's your favorite shot.
Hard, Daniel. Hard. Keep going. Hard. Keep it straight. Yep. Hard. Yep, you got it. Hard. Still got it. Oh,
Oof. Just squeaks it by. I don't think you could fit a sheet of paper between those rocks.
But I have to switch my head already after this game. It's dead. Oh yeah, yours even worse. Yeah.
So interesting. Where's the best place to roll this, Mary? I don't think you want to go too far and just leave Rooney the opportunity to draw around.
Really hard.
I really like just hitting and sticking right there.
Hard. Any roll.
Yeah, I was thinking if
Just
anything,
like
maybe like roll a rock to try and just choke off a draw or something. I think that actually works out pretty well too. Even if Rooney does make the hit and roll, he's going to be so high up in the rings that
I don't think he can. Yeah, I don't think he can afford to leave that red one there.
Good sweep.
Just sort of biding your time here if you're Rooney. You're waiting for an opportunity to hopefully sink a draw into a good spot around that center.
Yep.
Nice.
I think that's a really good spot.
Yeah, he's rolling out if he hits
I think the problem is if you roll dead buried, then you make the double and you can roll way off the center line.
Yeah.
The reason it rolls sort of half open onto the other side. Now, if you end up making the double on the nose, you leave a center guard for Rooney. So you'd love to make the double maybe over the top, but that's not easy either. It's very thin.
That's why they're having a look at it. They're
Really
not.
good if you can get the center line cleared right now. I don't even think you have to stick it.
Wondering if you could make the double peel on the two guards and maybe spill into the ring somewhere.
I guess, yeah, that never catches the downside of that.
Yeah, it'll just stay here. We got a corner.
I like that.
Yeah. The important thing is here with them having last rock, Dobson team, get things opened up here.
Right.
So there's a number of ways to do that. I think they're going to do what you had said, Matt. Try to peel that guard over in the corner, get some action off the shooter.
Yeah, I'd be a bit more inclined to play this off of this center line one because he was just very tight there. But the problem is, I think it was a little bit tougher. The rock you had to move was the center line.
Center line, yes.
So it's fine if you want to play it off the outside if that's the easier one to do it, but you essentially have to make it in that way. Whereas if you play off the center line one, it might be really thin to try and spill into the rings. But at least if you make the center line, you maybe make a double peel, you can spin up to another corner, you leave yourself some options. Here, by missing that shot and only getting the corner, now you've left essentially staggered center guards.
You have, yes.
Because that rock top 12 is acting more like a guard than it is something that Rooney thinks will score.
So it looks like there might be a timeout called here. I'm thinking coach might have put the big T up for timeout.
I didn't think they were they had a shot in mind before the timeout was called, so the coach might just want to discuss this. We'll tune into what they're saying, and we'll be back as soon as that timeout is finished.
But the guard's not trying to try. He's going to have to wrap and then we freeze, I guess. Evan's here. Whatever, right? Yeah. You got the whole helmet team here. Oh, he's got the whole line here, though. You guys more like center guard at this point? Sure. Because if they come around and fall on you, you're going to get the force, right? Yeah, no, I'm just worried. You go in, they could blast all three. They can't get all three. Come across, even if they don't, they can get two. And then you're sort of. The only thing is, it's tough for them to lose two and not know them. I think you throw center guard, they're probably peeling. I think they're gonna wrap. But if they wrap, then you fall. Then it's game on, I guess. Then you're not gonna blank, and then you can just really try to force. Okay. Yep. Fair enough. Oh. Okay. So, just you guys just keep working on your two shoulders, weight even, and your slides, and that it's come down to like 14 seconds, just like the other games. Okay, guys, go get him.
It's just a guard anyways. You only need one sweeper.
All right, so looks like the discussion there, Mary, was to eventually decide just to throw the center guard themselves.
Yeah, I think originally, before that timeout was called, I think the boys were just looking to come around both of those yellow rocks, but I actually quite like putting up another guard here.
I agree, and I think I heard during the timeout, Landon was a little bit worried that if they throw the center guard that Jacob would draw around it. And I don't think... maybe he would. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. I have to agree. I would not either.
I think
so.
I wouldn't waste any time just walking up and peeling a center guard and keeping things open.
Yeah.
Curl it a bit. Yeah, it's finished here. Yep. That's good.
Yeah, so I really think Dobson's gonna, and that guard came in a little bit tighter than maybe he's looking at coming around, but I think
Commentator curse, as I say.
yeah, no, I think he definitely has to open things up here.
Yeah, I think with that center guard they just threw is like staggered with the tight one. I would look at running back the one they just threw.
Yes.
Try and get everything off the center line. You don't need to remove all the yellow stones, but if you get them all moving, you're probably gonna have a chance to score. A shot to score later in the end. So.
And you could definitely I think that's what they're going to do, Matt. That's definitely the call. And you can get them all moving and even get your shooter out of the way.
Garner here trying to move everything. Got a little bit, and that's pretty good.
It's good. It's better. Yeah.
Left one on the center line, but removes the stone from the rings. No more staggered guards up front. So even if Landon makes a very good draw here, you could throw another run back, make a double, follow him down and freeze. Now you can sort of do whatever you feel is necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, line's okay. Line's good. Room. Line's good. Keep curling.
Draw coming in here from Daniel Hochshaver, now coming into the rings.
Just stay down, Chris. Stay down.
Chris Oka trying to get a little bit of a finish here, drag it as far as they can.
Good throw.
Those rocks just aren't gliding.
No, they're not
the way
gliding
they used
anymore.
to earlier in the game.
Yeah, that rock, you wanted it to be deeper. You didn't even mind if it was slightly behind the tee line because just for some separation. But now it does give Dobson, he can still get out of trouble here.
Yeah, and that was a very good line. If it was 2 feet more weight, would have been buried. But I think if it was me, I'd be playing the center line. Yeah, looks like he is now.
Yeah.
The guard back into it.
Yep.
You can hit and roll off the one in the rings behind your corner, which would be great, but Landon's drawing again.
Right.
Trying to get it buried. So if you can get both of these yellows moving, you're almost always going to have a fairly straightforward shot to score. You can roll to another corner or makes it perfect. Make
great
the double.
shot. Yeah.
Now you have 2 corners, so no matter what Landon decides to do, you're always going to be able to go around one of them.
Yeah.
Even if you're here, honestly,
it's not bad.
I mean, we got to get something going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I'm going to be wide open, it's probably better to just be a guard.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Landon. It curls here, eh? It's gonna move, eh? You want more?
Same as last time, eh? I threw the same pass last time, right?
So Landon is choosing to come around this long corner guard. He said he doesn't even care if it's actually just tight to the rings, kind of chokes that off. Does not want to be too deep in the rings on this shot.
Yeah, even if it technically just ends up as a sort of a corner guard, just open, it does choke it off. This is definitely the easiest guard to get around with this turn with the extra curl. So definitely make sure you're in the top of the rings and don't give Jacob the opportunity to make the draw himself. Definitely don't want to be behind the tee line.
Yeah, not bad.
Tough to bury those.
Looks like it stayed maybe just on the tee line, so
Good throw.
could probably play a freeze tap if you're Jacob if you wanted to, but the fact that you have the hammer in 7, I think you just play the hit and roll to the center line, force Landon to try and make a really good hit and roll so that he doesn't leave you a blank.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a point where it is gonna move. Yeah.
If it was in the rings, if Landon was planning for it to be in the rings, I'm Surprised they didn't sweep to try and get a little bit of curl, even if it ends up like back 4, back 8 or something like that. Yes, you give Jacob the opportunity to freeze, but then you can make a freeze too and get your force.
Get your force, yeah.
I think giving up the blank is really not a good scenario if you're Landon. So I'm surprised he didn't try a little bit harder to make sure that was buried, even if it is a little bit deep.
And he was probably thinking, just probably from lack of experience, like you have, Matt, that he didn't want to go behind the tee line. Because then he's thinking, well, then I'm going to give my opponents the opportunity to freeze and possibly get 2. But like you say, then you have the opportunity to freeze on top of it, and then you got the force.
This one gets by the guard, makes the hit, rolls to the center line. Perfect. Now, if you think about how this game is going to play out, giving up a blank and being tied without in the last end, that's not a situation you want to be in. So I think we're going to see Landon try to play this role pretty aggressively, really try and get behind that guard, force whatever you can, either force Jacob into a tough blank attempt or to just draw for his single.
To be honest, this is probably too much ice, but I can't foul them taking the
If you roll out, you could coax Dobson to try and play the split. I don't know if that would be a good call or not, but you might trick him into something and getting his force. This is very tight, though, out of his hand. This rock is almost gone.
Really hard.
Trying to hold it to get rid of it. Actually, a very good sweep there. Did a half rock. That rock looked like it was moving very early.
Well, interesting. I heard Landon in the hack say that this is actually a lot of ice.
Yeah.
So again,
maybe just helped it over.
He helped it over. You got to shut that brain off once you get in the hack. Leave it.
Dobson took a very quick look at the split for a second, but I think wisely decided against it. You're in a very good position. Worst thing you could ever do here is in this game situation, is take 1.
Right.
So why risk it at all? Just throw it through, take the hammer to the last end and the advantage. So it's a throw through by Team Dobson here. We'll go into the 8th end tied. 4-4. Team Dobson will have the hammer. We'll take a quick commercial break. Come back with the conclusion of this game.
I missed a shot.
I made the wrong call. I didn't sweep hard enough. We let you down.
At least that's what they say.
Like they want us to quit. But that's not who we are. That's not what champions do. Champions fight back.
Champions rise again.
Champions are resilient. And make no mistake,
we are champions.
Gold Line, the choice of champions.
Back here for the start of the 8th end here, draw 2 action, the Canadian Junior Cup from Oshawa, Ontario. Chris Oka will lead us off. Trying to set up a steal here for this Rooney team. Their first game against Jacob Dobson.
Yeah, that's definitely 3. Keep going, keep going.
Do you want me to curl?
So this is where the lead, in my opinion, has a lot of pressure. Yes, as a lead, I can speak that, you do throw a lot of guards and draws during a game, but this last end, when you're tied without, these guards are so important. The typical situation that you like to see is put a 3, which is close to the rings, and then your next guard is just over the hog line, lined up on the center line. Not easy to do, especially the one over the hog line.
A lead shot's, especially in this situation, a lead shot's may not win the game, but you can definitely lose the game.
You're right.
You
Absolutely.
throw 2 into the rings, or
Yes.
you hog one of them, and now you're suddenly way behind. A pretty good shot there by Team Dobson. Maybe I think would have liked that a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
At least full 8-foot. With that rock where it is, eventually Landon could probably use that guard and go around it. I think for now, you'll probably see them toss up another center. Probably nice and high, get as much separation as they can.
I think we're okay. I think we're okay. 1, 2.
Like I say, these ones are so hard because what you're trying to avoid is setting up an easy double peel for the other team. That's why you want them lined up in front of each other and as far apart as possible.
That one just a little bit deep, not quite getting enough curl, and that's a much easier double peel opportunity now for Dobson once they start getting a chance to take it. Now, though, of course, can't move any of the rocks yet.
The first rock is definitely curlier than the second.
Still need to throw one more, so they're going to try and put another good draw here. Ideally, would love to bite the 4-foot.
Yep.
Ideally, would like to get it by the guard first. Looks like they just will now try and bite the 4-foot if you can. That rock is almost a little too deep. I was a bit surprised they kept going at the end there. It's so tricky. I think as you want to almost try and get it nice and close to the top button, but I think almost top button a lot of times in this situation is too deep because you know they're going to follow you down and try to freeze to it. If that rock is just biting 4-foot, at best, Landon's team could only ever be full 8, and then that's something that you can outdraw, where here, now, if, unfortunately, they're just going to wreck on the guard here, maybe come up a little light, but they could have come around there, make a freeze, then eventually you bump it to the back of the button, you have something to work with.
Well, interesting situation now with that one coming up short. Dobson going to call a timeout.
You have to make a play on the guards. I think what he might be worried about is he can get rid of those top 2 yellows fairly easily, but it's up where it's probably going to come back onto that tighter guard and send that back into the rings. If I was him, I wouldn't necessarily be all that worried about that, honestly. Worst is probably going to come back and get the rock top 12. That would be fine. Even if it comes back and somehow gets the shot stone, though, it's likely not going to stick there. But even if it does, you've gotten rid of all the guards. Everything is opening up. You're going to have some good opportunities. I really don't see a way you could try to make the double peel and like have it come out as a negative for you.
You got to remember it's early enough in the end that if things jam into the house, it's okay. It's just, you want to have a shot at the end, so.
Tune in and listen to what the coach has to say.
Are we ever trying to move that red on the top 12? Because it's choking off the entire inside path. Yeah, no, I think that's...
Could you even draw around that red eventually, to that button?
Fair, okay. But I was just... The thing right now is, they have to choose, right? Decide the field is. It's coming in here anyway. Yeah. That's going to jam on that one.
Yeah.
If they try to double field those, if they don't, they may not try and double field. Well, then game that. Let's go, guys.
We haven't got that one right all game. Again.
I think that stops.
Does it though?
Yeah. The one's catching the one. The stuff, I think which means you gotta pick the 2 or the 1. See what I mean?
Do you pick the 2 then?
The decision was eventually just to make sure that they get the guards moving, even if it comes back and gets something in the rings, that's not bad. It's a bit tough to make sort of everything go away because the yellows are fairly lined up. You're probably going to leave one of the yellows up there, but
Yeah, then we'd be in trouble. Yeah.
Peel.
He's just going for the single peel, I guess. In the middle range. Yeah.
just deciding to single peel the middle one.
Yes, straight.
I thought of the single peel map, but I thought if I'm doing the single peel, it's the one on the center line.
It's fairly tight here. We'll actually end up making the double peel anyways.
Yes,
I think that's
pretty good.
Honestly, yeah, I think that's the best outcome they probably could have gotten out of that.
Just play it as dead thin as you possibly can to get the shot. You see what I mean? Right? Yeah, no, for sure. Like, it almost is impossible to call it that way. Yeah. Like, it was so precise. That works.
So a couple of options here, Matt. They're playing the freeze down here. I think you could put up another long center guard. It's early enough in the end, but again, you don't want to take the risk of the double peel being made.
Yeah, unfortunately with where that yellow guard is to begin with, it's just a bit too high. It makes it very difficult to throw a guard where you don't leave a double peel.
Right.
I think I like this call. Honestly, I don't even mind that outcome, bumping it a little bit deeper. Now you're just that much closer to getting it to that back button. Really what you want, the kind of situation you want to have is have one of theirs back button with one of yours either right on top of it or something that you can work with later, and I think they're getting closer to that. Unfortunately, though, rolling off there, not ideal, because I think Dobson now peels, and you pretty much just have to keep throwing the guard.
Yeah.
Clean, clean. It's that rock.
The rock is
It's done.
half on the 8.
Yep.
Good suit. I like this.
Just put it back, the guard. Yeah, just put the guard back.
Yeah, they want to just not worry about things in the house right now. Keep putting that guard back because Team Dobson's not going to leave it there. They're going to keep peeling. So Rooney's going to wait till we get closer to the end of the end until he can make a play in the house.
Ideal situation here. If this was, say, Landon's last, probably want to freeze one into that pocket, but of course you have to move the red in order to be shot. So more often than not, I think Dobson's going to have a makeable shot to score. I think now especially he's going to have a makeable shot to score. I think the best call here, if you could call anything, and bear with me, it's a little, I think if you could actually peel that red stone in the top of the 12-foot into the yellow, that's probably the best thing you could do if you know that you were going to make the shot.
Yeah.
Obviously comes with risk, hitting your own, that you don't get theirs out, but I mean, even like, even if you don't get the yellow, like peeling that red, you're always going to have an open shot to score.
Yeah, I think peeling the red was a way better call than removing that yellow one, which was really not hurting you. That red rock is actually sort of acting as a bit of a guard. So it was more of your trouble rock.
And yeah, Landon's actually going to take a second time out here now to figure out what to do. But again, yeah, looking at this situation like that, worst case scenario, if you somehow tried to peel that red and I don't know how, but say you get nothing. Right? Say you hit it and you don't move any of the other ones in the 4-foot. Best Rooney could ever do is maybe to hit and like split the 4-foots.
Yeah.
And you'd have to make a nose hit or maybe a hit and flop or draw the 4-foot to win. All of those are sort of what you're hoping for in that situation with the hammer. So now I think if you're Rooney, I'd be looking at possibly, this is Vice's last, so might be able to get away with another guard. You know they're going to peel it, but I'd hate to do something in the rings too early and give them the opportunity to blow everything up.
Shot is you'd have to come down, tap it, sit there, which wouldn't be bad.
I just think that's
that,
a tough shot, and he's going to have a fairly simple pick. Probably.
Or you do it now. If you do it now and sit there and tap it a little bit.
Well, here's my thought. What if we go here? What's he do? Like, we're making him throw against 2.
Well, you've got 3 shots to go still. So
yeah, so if we wrap that, what's he do?
You make a little tap now, what's he do? I guess he could try to run that, right?
Yeah. I'm just a little concerned that if we try to tap, he can lose everything, and then we're. But that might be a situation.
If you could end up shot after his tap and whatever they do, then you could just guard and guard.
Well, no, we're not going to end up shot after game.
No, if you tap it.
We're going to be wide open if we shot.
No, you tap the back 8.
Yeah, we'll be here. I don't hate the tap. He's going to hit it, and then I'll have to make the. Unless it's. Yeah.
So we're tapping to here? What if he plays it?
Coming out of that timeout, looks like they've, for discussed or decided to make a play in the rings right now, but I think it's a little early. This is only Vice's last. If you come into the rings, you're giving Team Dobson essentially 2 free shots to try and clear everything up before he has to throw his last one. I would think about maybe just tossing up a center guard. You know he's just going to walk up and peel it. And you're probably playing this tap maybe on Landon's first.
Yes.
You might even be able to leave it to the last one if you wanted, but probably not.
Like back 8? Back 8? Or back 4?
If you're going to play in the rings, you could try to draw back 4, back 8 the other way around everything. And maybe set up a bit more of a wall in the back that you might be able to use.
Yeah, they did discuss that with their coach, but this seems to be the call they want to play, but I'm with you, Matt. I wouldn't be playing it quite yet.
You're essentially giving...
You're just giving your opposition more chances to get out of it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you wait till your opposition only has 1 shot left, it's all or nothing. So
you're going to give Noah Gardner a free chance to get everything moving. Then if he doesn't make it, Jacob will still have a free chance on his first to get everything moving before he has to make his last.
It's a very nice shot, though.
It's about as good as they could do.
Mm-hmm.
On the red back again?
They're not even looking at that, Matt. They're more concerned with the yellow rock on that button. Oh, there he goes. Yeah.
What? What one? That?
Yeah. I don't think you can slash it so far over the top that the yellow, sticks back there. The worst thing, I think the only way you could get anything bad out of this shot is if you somehow hit it dead on the nose and pick out your own.
Yeah.
So as long as you're missing it a bit on the high side, really shouldn't be a bad result here.
Close. Whoa, curl, 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 curl.
And that's maybe got a little bit unlucky where that one red spun to, but I think all in all, it's a pretty good shot. And this is kind of what we were talking about, where this would be a really good situation for Rooney if this was his last.
Yes.
Right? But because it's his first, even if he makes a good freeze in here, Dobson can try to blast it and essentially make sure that he has an open shot on his first. If this was Rooney's last shot, you lock a freeze in there. If you make it perfect, it's pretty tough to score.
Pretty tough, yeah.
I thought with that weight, even if you hit it where you did, it was still going to keep rolling. They're just pretty dead. That was nice.
So Dobson's going to try to deadlock this on the one that's sitting back button. Does he have to move it at all?
I don't think
so.
I don't think you want to.
No.
I think if you can basically play a nose freeze and just angle it a bit on the center line side so that if Dobson tries to blast it, it will jam on the one in the side forefoot. Rooney's first rock here maybe looks a little tight out of his hand. I thought he might have gotten that started a bit. This side will track a little bit though. Now they're trying to finish. It's just didn't quite get there actually.
You play this.
Yeah.
Like the plan A is pick it.
Just pick it?
It's not bad. Like, you'll have some.
It'd be really nice too. We just don't want to overly commit to it to the point that we jam.
Okay, time. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Plan A, plan B.
Yep. What turn?
This. What's what you like?
This one I'm gonna. If you like it, I'll throw it. I'll make it. Okay.
Well, this is what I'm wondering because they're like all of a sudden in a hurry, and I'm thinking, are there clocks?
Yeah, I was looking at it, and I can see in the background there. I
Okay.
didn't actually realize they're on clocks for this event. That's good to know.
So, pretty important here, obviously. You're trying to get rid of this yellow rock, but you would love to get rid of one of those red ones
Yes.
behind it as well.
You'd love, I think the best shot you can make here is to try and hit it fairly close to nose, a bit on the center line side. Get rid of that rock that's on the back of the button.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you don't want to risk, you throw it safe just to
Yes.
pick it. You don't want to risk jamming it back in there. But if you can ever get that red, it's going to make it very tough for Landon to make you throw something tough. This looks very close. Not quite.
Not quite.
So again, this is the shot we were talking about for Landon. I think if you can basically nose freeze that red on the center line, just a hair, a bit more on the center line side, so that if Dobson tries to blast it jams, and Dobson's, if you can make it perfect, Dobson's only shot might be to come in off of his own
Right, yeah.
on the side of the forefoot, and that's not easy.
And Lana just threw this shot, so he should have a better idea here of the weight that he needs to make the perfect freeze.
Even if he's frozen, I think you can still come off the red.
Landon Rooney, final shot here in the 8th end to force Dobson to throw, needs to make a perfect freeze onto the pin.
Okay, gotta be key.
Joel Matthews on the inside, Chris Oka on the out.
Gotta curl.
Thinking there's a little bit of extra room here. Should curl up if weight is perfect. But it looks like it might be just a little bit heavy. It'll come down. Just bounce that red. Fortunately, just a little bit heavy. I think if weight was good, it might have curled up enough, but bounces it. Now it's just an open hit for Dobson. Make the yellow go away and record a win here to start this event.
Same shot.
Gonna take the same turn he just threw. A little bit interesting as this is the straight side. You don't want to be a little full out of your hand here. Make sure you have the rock.
Yeah.
He did not be sure out of his hand. Now needs to get it to curl. Can't jam it back in there. He'll just get enough. Spins it out of the forefoot. Scores 1 point. It'll be Jacob Dobson recording the 5-4 win over Landon Rooney here in draw 2 action. For myself and for Mary. Well, Mary, thank you for joining me for this game, first of all.
Matt.
And we'd like to thank everyone at home for tuning in and watching. That'll be it for us this morning. We're going to take a quick break. Our next draw will be Women's game at 2 p.m. today.